Good morning or good evening to wherever this finds you. Welcome to the FunHawg Pod with your hosts, Matt Cook and Butch Mayhew. Let's let that fun ensue.
Welcome to the FunHawg Podcast. My name is Matt Cook. I'm here with my always co-host, Butch Mayhew, and very special guest, Tyler Pochel. Whoa, Butch, you're wearing a FunHawg Podcast t-shirt.
It's official. We made it on the t-shirt.
Man. And Tyler, you're wearing it looks like a solid color t-shirt. Where'd you get that?
I honestly thought, this is a podcast. What are the odds that I need to wear anything at all? And I just threw on a shirt last second. I mean, because it is well past my bedtime, and I thought, well, I'll just put a shirt on that's kind of muted. And
that's all you have on?
I had another sweatshirt on that is actually from some elitist private school in Memphis that my mom stole from somewhere, and so I've been wearing that. And so I took it off. I was like, just in case this is broadcast, I don't want anyone to think I'm some elitist private school kid. So.
But it was stolen.
It was stolen from the gymnasium. My mom worked in the high school, and she would kind of steal things frequently from the school.
Steal things or take in abandoned things?
You can call it what you want, but kids probably were coming back looking for them later.
I don't know. I think you might have a higher expectations on kids coming back. I've seen the lost and found at my kids' school, and it's gone. I mean, just go ahead and give it away. Donate it.
It's just the
no
lost.
one's coming back for it.
It
lost.
It ends up in the Pochel closet is where it ends up.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Tyler. We've been bantering a little bit. Tyler, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I am just a regular guy who happens to know both of these guys largely from work. We have worked together. I used to be a software developer, and I'm trying to turn into a kind of a farmer. So,
How's farming going?
I am thoroughly enjoying the cutting of firewood. That is what I've been doing lately, is cutting firewood. I spent a couple hours today splitting some firewood, and it truly warms my heart. So,
Would you say it tickles your fancy?
It tickles my fancy. It is what I've been up to lately.
Will you be one of those old guys that has the pickup truck full of chopped wood sitting on the side of the road selling it? Is this your future?
I don't have any plans to sell it. I just want to burn it. I'm going to be burning it all. My goal would be to have almost a $0 electric bill for the winter. And, we have all these LED lights, and that's basically the only power. I mean, I guess we have a dryer that runs, but really low power bill because we're not going to run the heat. So I'm going to get some wood-burning stoves and just burn wood all winter.
Is wood burning drier? Is that a concept you've looked into?
I have not looked into that.
I wonder if you could eliminate your dryer costs with wood.
I guess we could hang up clothes, around the wood burning. You just hang them up to dry, so that's possible. Yeah, we could do that. That would be interesting.
Seems likely. I think a key to those wood burning stoves is you got to have the blower, right? That blows the air back into the home.
Yep.
You can get the house pretty hot though. We had
super hot.
When my parents lived in New Jersey, we had one, and my room was. It was while I was in college, so I was just there for the summer or whatnot. But I would go back for Christmas, and my room was upstairs, kind of right off of the room with the wood burning stove, and so all the heat would rise up. I mean, man, my room would get
Toasty.
Blazing hot, and I had to close the door to keep the heat out of there in the winter. So they can really warm things up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, a part of our show, we share our FunHawg moment. Now, Matt has graciously come up with a definition for a FunHawg moment. He calls it a slice of life worth savoring. So, Tyler, do you have a slice of life worth savoring
I do.
Like to share with us?
Yeah. So my parents came to visit. So I just recently moved to Kentucky. I've been in Colorado for a little while. Recently moved to Kentucky so I can get some land to do this farming thing. And my parents came to visit. My dad came out with me into our trails. We have some trails we've been cutting for an ATV. So we just got an ATV. We've been cutting some trails. So my dad was out there. Both of my sons were out there. And we just spent the afternoon, beautiful weather, cool weather, just cutting down trees and clearing the path. And we made basically a half-mile trail around our property. And it was just extremely satisfying and great. We had some deep conversation with my father about what he wants to do with the rest of his life because he's retired now. You know, and he's like, he's 65, but you know, his dad's 95. So it was like, man,
wow.
You have 30. You might have 30 more years. Like, what are you going to do? And so it was just, it was.
So you can move on the farm with y'all?
That not initially. That's not part of the plan right now. But I mean, you never know. We have
grow
room
enough food to feed him. That's
we
the
could,
key.
yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, we could, yeah. And we have a lot of cows around us too. So I think
Wait, time out. A lot of cows around you, or a lot of cows that you own around you?
I don't own the cows yet, but they're just like really right across the street. There's a bunch, so I think I could
just go tackle one.
I can work out a deal. Yeah, you work out a deal with the.
It's just like those private school sweatshirts. You just borrow one.
Right, I mean, they probably won't notice one missing, right? So.
Oh man, so good. Matt, how about you?
I got a good one. So my youngest son Tucker is playing soccer right now, and it's not on like a hyper competitive team. It's very much beginner league, and he had their first game. They scored 5 goals, which is great. You know, they won 5-3. But I noticed that the opposing goalie kept he would grab the ball with his hands. And then he would kind of set up for a goal kick where he would just place the ball down. But of course, if you pick it up with your hands, you're not protected, right? And so I was explaining this to Tucker, and just how, hey, just go take that ball and just kick it and score a goal. That'd be great. And sure enough, the next game they're playing the exact same team that they had played before. And so the goalie, real early in the game, he gets the ball, and Tucker is standing just kind of right on the edge of the box, kind of looking around like, is anything going to happen here? And sure enough, the goalie puts the ball down just like he did the last game. And Tucker zooms up and just kicks a goal. And the other coach is like, oh, you can't do that. And, the referee is like, yes, he can. And so they stopped the game for just a minute to explain, this is a rule in soccer. But it was a very fun moment as a dad to just see, you get the glory of scoring a goal, but particularly a sneaky goal. I mean, perfectly legal, but it was fun to see him apply the lesson that I had taught him. But also to see the look on his face. I don't think I'll ever forget that, where he was like, I think I can do this because my dad told me about it, but I'm not sure if we're breaking the rules. It was great fun.
Just got to go out on a limb. Awesome. For me, I have a confession to make, Matt. I cheated on our podcast.
On our podcast?
I was on another podcast.
Oh, man.
Just 6 hours ago.
Two podcasts a day?
Two podcasts in a day. I was invited to join the Testing Peers podcast. It's a podcast with testers, and we talked about testing and leadership. And I cheated on the FunHawg podcast, but it's worth checking out if you're in the testing field. There's some good talks. All the people on the podcast were from across the pond, so you gotta gear up for the European accents. But it was great. I loved it.
You just brought your deep Birmingham.
I just brought the y'alls and the deep draws, and I was just being me. The howdies, all that was demonstrated. We'll see if it gets edited out or not. But it was a great time, great people. Go check out the Testing Peers podcast if you're interested.
Dig it. Very cool.
Awesome. So word of the week. This is why we're here.
Our word of the week is crevice.
Crevice.
That's it.
Here's, I don't normally say crevice on a normal basis, but I actually found myself saying crevice 2 days after we spun the wheel last time. And it was with a conversation with my 13-year-old. I was going over how to vacuum, because those are skills that you should teach your kids, how to do things with a vacuum cleaner. And I was telling them about the attachments, and there's that small attachment that
the
has
crevice
like,
tool.
Yeah, I was like, you take this, you know what this is used for? He's like, no. I'm like, it's used for the crevices in the couches. And I was like, I said the word. So that was a very recent crevice story. I was thinking, like, there's not a ton of like crevice stories in my life, but one huge fear of mine as a youngin' was getting stuck, head first, kind of reaching out next to the bed, between the bed and the wall, and actually getting your head and your whole body stuck in between the bed and the wall in that crevice. And that happened once. I was like, how am I, like, who's gonna get me out of here? Like, I'm kind of a bigger kid, a youth at the time, and I was like, I don't know, I might be stuck there for a while if I wasn't able to wiggle myself out. But it's just a fear of mine. I don't know if it's a valid fear or not, but it's a fear.
Have you ever been stuck in a crevice, or?
Kind of. I was able to wiggle myself out,
right?
But yeah, I wasn't stuck for like more than 10 minutes.
Got it.
I think you asked or said, you don't know if that's a valid fear. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, that is not a valid fear to get stuck by a bed. Crevice. Other crevice is okay, but not the bed is not a valid
That's fair.
one.
I was like, middle school maybe when this happened, and I bet today I could push a bed, right, with my muscles, with my body, but that's fair. Point taken. I will accept that it's not a valid fear, even though I'm still fearful of it.
Tyler, we invited you on this podcast. I have to imagine you've got a crevice story. You've done lots of exploring. You're the most adventurous person I know, and it's not even remotely close. So, what you got?
I've explored many caves and crevices and crevasses, even, which are much larger. And
what's a crevasse? It
is basically a much larger crevice. It's usually like in a cave system or ice formations. It's a larger thing. And there's been movies about people who've fallen in crevasses, I'd say. And one of the ones that I remember the most vividly was I got invited to do this camping trip with some guys where we were going to go snow cave camping. There was about 12 feet of snow in Colorado. We drove over here and we literally dug our own holes. Like, you dig a hole, you make a mound, and then you make a little cave out of there. Well, as we were exploring the area that we were going to be doing this, I fell down in, 10 feet deep of snow, kind of next to a boulder, into a shallow stream. And so it wasn't like a lot, but it was like, I don't want to be in here right now, and I'd fallen in such a way that like my feet were kind of like up on my face, so I was kind of on my backside, and so I could see about 6 to 8 feet above me, my buddies, but it was still a little unnerving, just because like all of a sudden you realize if this snow falls in, like, that's a problem. So we eventually dug me out and had a good trip, but I got a little taste, just a hint of fear there, kind of right as it was happening. And as I was trying to like dig myself out, I realized how difficult it is to get out of, heavy, wet snow. So that was kind of the most on the top of my mind when I heard the word.
This is why I went first. So I wouldn't be one up.
All right, Butch, is Tyler's fear valid there? Was he valid or invalid in his fear of being scared in that situation?
Did he even have fear? I see all smiles and fun over there.
I remember a little bit of like heart palpitations, not like a ton, like that wasn't like a lot, but it was like I do remember kind of getting that. Ooh, this is happening right now.
This could be real.
This is real.
This could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I need to make a good choice next.
That's right.
So how long were you in the crevice?
15 minutes. probably.
Yes,
so
that's pretty
yeah,
long
decent little
time.
amount. I mean, it was a lot of digging. I mean, we had to dig a lot of snow out. So.
And you say you were helping like dig. I mean,
I was
you're
trying.
at the
Yeah,
bottom of this thing.
I was just trying to like maneuver myself out a little bit, and then they were just they were digging down, and I was trying to kind of dig up a little bit to kind of reach to them. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
And not have more, because I could see where the wet water was flowing underneath, and so,
So that
more
could have
could fall.
easily collapsed more
Right.
than a mini avalanche. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah,
cave
yeah,
collapse.
little cave in, yeah.
A crevice collapse. A CC. Nope. Okay.
Terrifying.
Matt, how about
Terrifying. Yeah, the closest thing I can come to is I went with my brother-in-law Rob to Wyoming. He had planned this entire kind of 4-day hike there through Wind River, and it was a lot of fun. Just kind of 4 days out in the wilderness. It's very remote, so we didn't see people for huge chunks of time, maybe 36 hours during one stretch. And I guess, the first day was 8-10 mile hike, no big deal. We camped outside, so it was new experiences for me, just going to the bathroom in the woods and all that, just like being really out in the woods. I'm used to car camping, but anywho, as we got along the third day, we had we were climbing the largest mountain in the area. I think it was like a little over 13,000 feet was the peak, and there had been a glacier up on that mountain the whole time. You'd been able to see it from really far away, but as we were approaching it, I decided I wanted to go lick the glacier, which was, I don't know why, I just wanted to go lick a glacier. And so my brother-in-law was a little bit behind me that day, so we separated. And at first I was up above him so I could see down, and it really didn't feel, I don't remember feeling any fear at all. But then as I got to the glacier itself, I realized I had completely lost sight of him. And we didn't follow his navigation, so I didn't even know if I was on the real path. We didn't have an agreed upon point. It was one of the worst ideas of my life, actually, when I think about it now. But so then I get to seemingly the top, but it wasn't. Most of the parks that I've been to, the top is a very well-defined gathering place. Just everybody's hanging out at the top, But in Wyoming, it's just a huge rock out in the middle of nowhere, and so there was no obvious apex for it or whatnot. So as I get up there, I realize I'm completely separated from my brother-in-law, and something just told me just inside, you know what? I'm gonna give myself 1 hour to just not panic. I'm just gonna, hey, if an hour from now I still haven't found him, then I'm gonna let myself freak out a little bit. But sure enough, within about 45 minutes, I saw him from way across the top of this rock, and I don't think he had told himself the whole "don't freak out" for 45 minutes. He was pretty terrified, and I mean, we really were lost on a mountain 2.5 days into the wilderness, and I had no clue how to get back. I had half the tent, he had the other half the tent. It would have been a pretty terrifying night if we had ended up staying alone. There are bears in the area. But so we get back together, and of course we didn't separate by more than 3 feet for the rest of the trip. But I thought that was the most terrifying thing that would happen. But as it turns out, once we climbed the peak, on the way down, there's a thing called West Gully in Wyoming, and it is, Tyler, you may know the name of it's very loose rock.
Yeah, you glissade down it, I think, is the...
Glissade down it? But it's like skier, something like that?
Yeah, it's like... I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll think of it in a second.
Very, very loose rock. I mean...
Scree.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, so as we go down this West Gully, I truly thought we are in the complete... this is not a path. I mean, there's no... We're above tree line, so there's no footsteps or anything like that. You can't tell that any human has ever been there. And in my memory, it was maybe a 400-foot, cliff wall. And so we're going down it, and truly you would, take a foot and you would take a step and slide 8 to 10 feet. And it was very, like, I felt like most of the time I was going to fall down this, cliff wall. It took a very, very long time for us to get down. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours. But at this point, I mean, now it's maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock in the day, and I was just completely exhausted, just mentally, physically. I was not anticipating this level of difficulty on this trip. And we're going through a boulder field, and you had the hiking poles, but I had jammed them into the boulders enough that one of mine was severely shorter than the other. I didn't quite realize it at the time. Oh, nice thumbs up there. And I fell on one of the boulders. And it was a similar kind of thing to Tyler's where, as I fell, I mean, my feet were up above my head, and I'm upside down in a boulder field in the middle of Wyoming. And you're like, is anything broken? You're just trying to do a quick self-assessment. But there's just this like one moment where it's like, I think I could be stuck here. That was absolutely terrifying. But turns out I was fine. I went to bed, woke up the next day, walked out of there, and it was nothing to be scared of.
Man, those are intense. Those are both much scarier than getting stuck behind the bed. So
sometimes it's in your mind, though.
Do you guys ever share any like your screens on this thing?
Yeah, knock yourself out. What you got to share?
I have a picture of my rescue at the very end. All right, so this is after they've already like dug it out and rescued me. But this, I would have fallen kind of in this area down, and then you can see the rock. Kind of there's the rock and there's the water down there. So this is basically I'm just about to be getting out now.
You have no shirt on.
So that I was going to bring that up, but then I thought, well, maybe I won't. But this is weird. It did get down to the negatives at night in this location. But during this day specifically, it was so hot in that Colorado sun, and so we were working hard because we were digging. We were digging so many here, like this picture here. You can see inside of our little cave, like we literally put all this snow on top of it, and you dig like a hole to get out on the other side, and it was a lot of work. So we were actually sweating for this moment, and that was when I fell in, and so that obviously added to the angst, which was like, oh, it's freezing down here and I'm soaking wet now, and now I gotta dry off and get ready. So yeah, that was part of it. But yeah,
I will say for the audio only listeners, there's a snow with hole and there's Tyler with no shirt. Just go watch the video, go to YouTube, check it out. Those are some cool pictures.
Also terrifying.
Tyler,
was this the trip that you made the hot tub for?
The hot tub.
Oh, tell us about the hot tub.
Oh, it was so good. So this guy invited us. He had been doing this trip for like 20 years with just a group of guys, and I got invited to this group. And he said one year somebody brought a small battery and some lights and decorated their little thing. And I was like, that's not that cool. I bet I can do better. I will make a hot tub that we can bring into the venue. It's like a mile hike back to where you're going. So I made this custom sled, made this custom, horse trough thing with skis on it, and this coil of copper, and then basically did a bucket brigade. We figured we could melt snow or find a stream somewhere. So that stream, actually, we were able to get water out of it into a bucket, 35 bucket fills into our thing, and then we lit a giant fire and literally heated this tub up. And so while it was freezing cold at night, we had 2 dudes at a time getting into this little tiny hot tub. I mean, it was small. You were cozied up, but it was so exhilarating to be in hot water.
It was almost a crevice in the hot tub.
Exactly. So it was probably got to like 93 degrees. I think was about as warm as we got it in that trip. But that was still, felt incredible relative to the outside. So. Yeah, it was the epic part of the trip, and it gave us something to do all day the next day, because otherwise you're just sitting around chatting, and I like to be doing something. So we were splitting wood for our fire, we were bucket brigading, we were trying to make sure. Oh, since we were 12 feet up in snow, you had this, when it was heated down, it would start to melt, and so we cut down some fresh trees. and put those down, and they're green bows so that it wouldn't, submerge down when the heat was there. So it was quite an exciting portion of that trip. So
That's awesome.
Brilliant. I love it. I remember when you told me about that it was happening, and thought, this is crazy. You're taking a hot tub on an ice camping trip. But
It's so Tyler.
Epitome of Tyler. All right, back to Crevice. When I think of Crevices, I think about the scene in 127 Hours where Aaron Ralston gets his arm stuck. Have you guys seen that movie?
yes.
I've not seen the movie, but I know the story.
You know the story. So you can at least imagine, right?
I can imagine.
Ooh, I mean, arm stuck in crevice, and he has a pocket knife, and he cuts it off. So first question, if your arm was stuck in a crevice and you had a pocket knife, would you go the Aaron Ralston route and cut your arm off?
So every once in a while, when I think, I'm tough, I could be like that guy, and then I will stub my toe or get a splinter and think, oh my gosh, I just can't imagine like the pain that you would have to endure through those nerves. And it's like, oh, you are not that tough. But I would like to think you'd find a why to get to be, I got to survive. Like, I've got to get out of this place. And you would just have to do it. But man alive, that is impressive.
I mean, not day one, for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, no,
not day one. I think he was on, day 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, maybe day 7. I don't know if that's too many days to
Probably
have
too many
enough
days
strength
for
to
the
do
water.
that,
Yeah,
but
you gotta.
It's
Whew.
yeah. That's. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I would try probably. I don't know if I could do it though.
I don't even know if I would try. I think my lack of medical knowledge would deter me from ever thinking, what I'm going to do is sacrifice a limb, and that will get me into a better state. Whew. Yeah. That movie, I was thinking of the word cringe when I saw that scene. Butch, I know you haven't seen the movie specifically, but I remember there being a guitar twang as he's like going through the nerve, and just really, it's cringy, but maybe harrowing is a better word. It really captures, it's a movie about, 127 hours. It's not a 127 hour long movie, but it's a pretty boring movie. I mean, the guy gets his arm stuck, and then it's all about that dilemma. So it builds up to that scene. But I was thinking about the top 5 most harrowing movie scenes. And I got a couple suggestions. You guys let me know if you have any more that come up for you. So we got Aaron Ralston's self-amputation. We got the Omaha beach landing from Saving Private Ryan. That's a pretty brutal scene. The chest burster scene from Alien. Have you guys seen that one?
I've seen Alien.
I have not seen that one. That was the only one I hadn't seen yet.
I think I know more of it than I do. I don't ever recall watching the movie end to end, but yeah, chest burster scene. The final moments in the gas chamber of The Green Mile. Ooh, that's a great movie. It's really long, kind of builds up to it, but that's brutal. And the last one, a little bit more recently, is the bear attack scene in The Revenant.
Yep.
Have you seen?
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen that one? That one's really intense.
That clip's on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to link to it.
The guy in a buffalo could probably have withstood that.
Yeah, I'm sure he could.
Do you guys have any most harrowing movie scenes you'd like to throw into the mix?
Yeah, I've got a couple, 2 maybe, that impacted my life, I would say. So in high school, I saw my very first horror movie, and it was The Exorcist. And I don't remember all the specifics, but I remember there was head spinning, and I remember there was just levitations and vomiting, and it's just all of it was so disturbing to me. I had nightmares as a senior in high school. It's just it wrecked my world. So I have not seen it since. And I was just trying to figure out. I Googled it recently, like what are some of the scary scenes in there, and I was like, oh yeah, it brought back memories. It's still just ingrained in my mind. And then similarly, I'd say I've only seen a couple of horror movies in my life, just because it's not really my genre. But I saw one in college with college buddies, and it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's just. I think there's a lot of weird scenes in there, but the very first scene, you're just like, oh, these kids are riding down the road, and then all of a sudden they pick up a hitchhiker, and then she blows her brains out right there. Like, and it's just, you don't even know it's coming, and it's just like, ah! It just starts right there, and so that was disturbing to me. So yeah, those are two.
I mean, they're definitely in the horror category for me. I think I watched. I don't know if I watched or if I peeked behind the door when I was like in elementary school, but a Freddy Krueger movie, it was scary. It made me really scared of the dark and stuff, and just everything. As a young child that shouldn't be watching those movies. I was at like my aunt's house, and it wasn't even an aunt that's still in the family, so I was like, I shouldn't have been there. But that was really
a since
really
removed
scary.
aunt was
Since removed aunt, yeah. And then I think that, and the second one I think of, it just lost me. I lost it. It'll come back to me.
a similar
Or it
kind
might
of
not.
too early horror movie.
Yes, but I feel like this was a little different. I can't remember what it was. That's okay. We'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that watching a movie too early for your maturity level is that's a big one. Like if you see it when you're even 16, 17, but you're just not planning on that type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I can just imagine innocent little Tyler just having a happy-go-lucky day.
I just got done watching Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I'm going like, oh, you want to watch The Exorcist tonight? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh. So yeah.
All right,
Y'all have kids, like surely y'all's kids have like asked to see movies. Like you're like, we're gonna watch a movie. Your mom and I are gonna watch a movie tonight. And they're like, okay, let us watch it. And like, oh, it's not appropriate for you. I don't know if maybe you've never done that, but I have done that with my two boys, and they just don't quite understand. Like there's topics and things that they just either wouldn't enjoy or just a little too intense for them, And yeah, maybe I could argue that it's too intense for us too. Maybe the adults shouldn't be watching it too. But yeah, I totally understand.
I try to introduce my kids to the Marvel movies, or one thing that I don't personally enjoy that I generally think are a good thing. And so one of them he was 10 at the time, and I said, oh yeah, we could watch a Marvel movie. And of the Batman movies that are out there, I think the coolest one, I don't recall which one it is, but it's the one with Bane in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just think that's a great one.
It is.
And so we started watching that, and I mean, we were maybe 15 minutes in. He was like, "Nah, I think I'm gonna watch." I think he switched to Swiss Family Robinson or Rookie of the Year, some tried and true classic. So
We watched through the Batman movies, me and my boys. I mean, 13 is the youngest of the boys, so they enjoyed it. I remember what it was. It was not a movie; it was a TV show, and spoiler for anybody who hasn't watched The Walking Dead, but one of the first seasons, when you're still trying to figure out what in the world this world is, Rick, who's the main character, he's riding on a horse through downtown Atlanta, which is abandoned. It looks abandoned. And he turns around a corner, and there's like a horde of, they don't call them zombies, they call them walkers there. And it was very harrowing on like, what in the world, what would I do in this situation? I mean, I was watching it also like late at night, like 11 o'clock, with all the lights out. I'm just like,
on a business trip to Atlanta.
yeah, it wasn't quite that. But that would have been the money there. So
I've never seen The Walking Dead, so you just spoiled it for me. But
Yeah.
I feel like that was fair game because that's what we're like.
It's part of the title.
the show is done at this point.
Yeah.
They've released all the seasons, so it's all the spinoffs now.
I think it's funny that we have Tyler as our guest here. Tyler would be the most capable person, I think, in a zombie apocalypse. Do you think about zombies much, Tyler?
I don't think about zombies, but I do like to think about an apocalypse a lot. So I do like to just think about being prepared for anything. So yeah, but yeah, zombies has never crossed my mind. Although I guess I just maybe haven't seen enough movies, or I don't know how realistic that is. But in my mind right now, it's not a thing. But maybe it could be a thing.
You're prepped for it, though.
Yeah, I'm prepped for it. Yeah, somewhat. I mean, you gotta probably have a few more like medical supplies and probably a few more munitions if you're gonna fight off zombies. But yeah, I probably should watch at least one movie so I could kind of get a sense of like what should you do to combat them.
Just in case. I like it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most likely? What's most likely to send us into an apocalypse if it's not zombies?
Most likely. I mean, it feels like, I mean, with COVID, we saw society change quite a bit.
Overnight, it felt like.
And not much really, I mean, not really much what happened. It's like, oh, there's a few people dying of this flu, but not that crazy. And then the world shut down. It feels like you have just a little bit larger pandemic of things, and, all the supply chains start shutting down. You have a few more deaths. All it takes is like, because there weren't like that many deaths with COVID, but if you multiply that times 10, I feel like that gets us there. And all of a sudden, your delivery trucks aren't running, and now people aren't working at the power company, and it just that would cascade pretty quick. So that'd be my guess, if I had to take one guess.
Yeah. Well, and I remember that there started to be debates about should people who didn't get the vaccine get treated, and there was all kind of stuff going on. There's lots of government distrust, and when you think about humanity, not a particularly stable group. Like just one person or one group kind of rises to power and presents some radical idea as it's how it relates to the rest of society. And I mean, most of humanity, there's been just somebody capturing large portions of other populations. So maybe we're right on the cusp. You'll be ready though.
Hope we're not right on the cusp.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not.
That doesn't sound fun to me. I'll just tell you that. It's not fun to me. It's fun to Tyler, not to me.
Yeah, I've in my experience, most people that I've talked to have that same sentiment. My wife does not want to live very long in the end of the world scenario, but I would love to have that scenario. I think it would be great to have no rules and just, man, it actually sounds, I mean, I know it would be harder, but like, it's not the worst thing that can happen in my mind to have an end of the world scenario.
Semi-related tangent. We were at the dinner table. This is a true story. Tonight, my middle son Curtis, by far my most creative. I don't know where he got this from, but he's just posed a probing question to the group, which was, in 20,000 years, do you think they'll still have school? And I thought, man, that's a phenomenal question.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, you guys are just hearing it for the first time, so I'll chime in with my thoughts. I think it's pretty unlikely. And I mean, it's just like, wow, like, well, what would we do without school? But school's a relatively new concept. And so as we were just wrestling with this question, I mean, 20,000 years is just such a long time frame. It's really hard to even wrap your head around. But I think even maybe we'll shorten it to 2,000 years. So that feels a little more like something you could wrap your head around. And it still seems pretty unlikely. And we were going back to, if 400 years ago you had told somebody, hey, we're going to have vehicles and some of those vehicles can fly. I mean, just like, what? That's just ridiculous. And that would have seemed so crazy. And we made so much progress. So what do you guys think? In 2,000 years, will school still be around?
There will be a school, but it will not be a school like we know it. It'll be, 1% of the people will go to school, and it'll be for some crazy specialized thing, and that's it. Like 99% of people won't even know the word.
Be like a brain implantation thing, or?
It'll be something.
It'll be something. What'd you say, Tyler? School? Is it here to stay?
I think some form of education will exist. Yeah, I think people, unless the Matrix chips in the back of the neck can like just program your brain, I think there's got to be some level of training, and so a school of some kind will be will exist. Yeah, I think there's something there.
20,000 years, or just
it's a long time. It's a long
yeah,
time.
it's a long time.
I mean, there will be education.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a school run by the government. With
you know what? In the same way, like we have lost so much knowledge of things in the past, like how to fish really efficiently. I mean, like that's probably somebody knows how to do it, but not everybody. And I feel like there's just so much information that actually gets lost over the years as we don't need to do that skill anymore. But if there's some sort of weird event that knocks technology out for a little while, we got to reset for a little bit. People are going to have to go back to learning some stuff for a little while, and you got to teach people.
Yeah, but you can do it without school.
That's true. Yeah, you
kind of apprenticeships. And,
yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
Come get in this tribe or whatever you call it. Your AI cars. I don't know. Get your Cybertrucks. Matt, you pre-ordered a Cybertruck, right?
I did pre-order a Cybertruck. So that's a fun story. I was working at Shipped at the time, and it was while I was there is when Tesla, I can't remember which one it was, the I don't know, one of the fancier ones, the S or whatnot, came out, and somebody had pre-ordered it, and they got to drive it around, and I thought it was just the coolest thing to just see one way before you ever saw them in mainstream. And then when the Cybertruck came out, it was, I think it was like 2020. No, it was before that. But it was only $100, and it was fully refundable. So it just didn't seem like a risk to me. So I ordered a Cybertruck that day, and it took, I mean, yeah, it's like, they just came out now, whatever, a year ago. But so then as it was coming back out, I looked up my thing, and I didn't want a Cybertruck, and so I got my refund. So they gave me my $100 back, which I realized in hindsight I could have sold to many
100%.
people. Like I had a very early one, so I'm almost certain I would have had one by now, where they're very rare. But that was my almost Cybertruck story. I've seen several in the wild. They're not quite prevalent. What's the right word for them? It's becoming, I don't know, it's more common to have seen them now.
I've seen one.
I've seen maybe
Birmingham.
7 or 8 in the wild.
Are you sure it's not the same one?
No, this is like on the interstate. I mean, there's okay. One, here in Germantown, so I suspect that's probably just one person. He was at my coffee shop's like a half a mile down the road, and there's all kind of bougie cars at this coffee shop. But I mean, it's Cybertruck. That's the coolest bougie car that we've got at our coffee shop. Tyler, you got any Cybertrucks there in the greater Kentucky area?
I have not seen any yet. I've seen a lot of pickup trucks, but not any Cybertrucks just yet.
Doesn't seem like a very practical vehicle for backwoods Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, what's next? We gonna do Matt's mental crevices?
Ooh, Matt's mental crevices. Here we go. So I came up with, this was, expanding on the word crevice. It's not actually just a physical term, but there's lots of, kind of abstract forms of the word crevice. So I came up with 3 psychology effects that I want to dive into here. First one is the bystander effect. So that's defined as a phenomenon where individuals are less likely to help someone in distress when other people are present. Have you guys ever experienced the bystander effect?
Yes, I have a story.
Let's hear it.
About a week ago, 2 years ago, so Labor Day weekend, 2 years ago, I was driving 10 hours back from Montana, and I ran out of gas. It's the only time in my life I've run out of gas, but I ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere, Montana. Wyoming, sorry. I was driving back from Montana through Wyoming, and I ran out of gas. And so I was thumbing a ride, and I was dressed nicely. I had a polo shirt on, had my thumb up. I had my gas can.
Sweater vest?
No sweater vest. I had my gas tank open, like it was clear. I ran out of gas. And I probably saw 500 cars drive by. I mean, it was Labor Day weekend. People just going. No one stopped. So I start walking, and I know that the nearest town is, it's going to be 10 miles one direction, but there's a couple of houses the other direction. So I start walking back towards the couple of houses that are kind of like, off the interstate sort of. And eventually I knock on one door, no one answers, and I'm just walking down this dirt road, and this guy the least of these. He stopped. His car was filthy. He was dirty. But he's like, hey, what do you need? And I was like, I need some gas. I ran out of, a mile away, I ran out of gas. And he's like, oh, I'll take you to my house and get some gas. So he drives me down this dirt road really far away. And I'm like, this is kind of weird, but I'm okay, And so I'm a big boy. And we go, and he gets me some gas, and he drives me back to my car. We fill up my car. And he follows me to the next exit. And so I was just amazed. The only person to help me was this guy who was the least of these. So the entire way home, I stopped for every single car that I saw on the side of the road. There was four on the rest of my drive home. Hey, do you need anything? Nope, I already called AAA. Nope, my mom's coming. Nope. So all three, no one needed. I wasn't able to help any of those people, but I just became aware of it. And then weeks later, I actually stopped for somebody who was walking down a road in my town on this kind of highway in Colorado, and he had a terrible day. I won't get into all the details, but basically, I was able to help this guy briefly, and I would have never stopped for this guy had it not been for that experience of myself. A little bit of empathy. So, yes, every day we pass by cars on the interstate or on the roads that they'll take care of it. But it's just kind of the bystander effect. So. I still pass by people now today, but I'm a lot more cognizant of it now.
Yeah. My example was a lot less severe, maybe. I mean, I think about back in high school, somebody's walking around, drops their lunch tray, and food goes everywhere, right? Typically, if nobody goes to help, nobody's gonna help. But if one person comes, 2 or 3 other people might come. And I remember going and being one of the helpers. I wasn't scared. I dropped my tray before. I know how it feels, but the empathy kicked in.
I bet Tyler dropped his tray on purpose. He was that type of guy.
I was kind of an attention seeker back in the day. So. But I brought my lunch every day, so I didn't. Actually, I think my mom made my lunch, so I didn't have to go to the line. So,
private school sweatshirt and
right.
Lunchbox. What a combo! All right, next psychology effect we have is the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is a cognitive bias where people with low ability or knowledge overestimate their competence, revealing the gap between perceived and actual ability. You guys experience this one? I experience this one pretty much anytime I take on a new sport or anything. I was playing pickleball today, and that's a great example where, I played 2 games of pickleball, and I think I could probably take on pretty much anybody in this sport. And then you don't know what you don't know, right? You had a couple of good shots, but you play somebody who's actually good at the sport, and you realize there's a pretty large gap between me and them. So
that person's just standing there, and you're running around the court.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've experienced that. I think the same with sports, right? It's something new. Hey, I could be really good at this. And until you kind of get put in your place, you realize, this is not, I'm never going to be as good as these people unless you put in the time, put in the effort. I think when it comes to instruments, though, it's pretty clear. I'm never, I'm bad at this, right? When you pick up something new. But I think physical activities, maybe that's a little harder to measure because you can't hear, if it's beautiful or not.
Yeah, the feedback loop's a little bit low on some of those. Yeah. Tyler, anything come to mind?
No, I've never overestimated my abilities ever in my life.
All right, well, last one, maybe this one applies to you, is imposter syndrome, the pervasive feeling of inadequacy and self-doubt, even in the face of success, that affects high achievers but is often masked by outward confidence, where we just experience a little imposter syndrome.
It's interesting how literally both of those can exist. I can literally think I am the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I am terrible at what I'm doing. It's I don't know how those both exist in my brain, but they do. I'd say I most frequently have experienced the imposter syndrome as a new employee of any job. You're just you're coming in new, and you're I don't know how to do this new thing, or I don't understand, and you just you don't think you're going to be that great, and then a year later you're like, I'm the best person here, you know. So it's like it's just kind of how it works for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. Just, you start having a little bit of a success and you start to doubt things. That's typically how mine have turned out, where I start doing something a little good and then I realize, wow, there are so many other people that are better than me at this. Why am I in this role? Why am I doing this thing? And I think eventually it does get easier, I would say. For me, it has. And maybe it's just wisdom or just time in the chair, just proving, hey, I can do this. I can learn this new thing. But I also come in with like learning new things with a pretty low expectation, knowing that, hey, I'm not going to be the best at this yet, but I will be in a year from now or whatnot. But how about you, Matt? Imposter syndrome?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten me several times. Journaling is a helpful tool for countering it. So one, just seeing the folly in my own, it's actually very comforting. So one of the things I'll do when I journal is write a prediction. So I'll look at, hey, what do I think is going to be the case 2 years from now? Who's going to be the key person on the team? How far advanced, hey, this new business initiative. I've got a really funny one where I was at a startup and we were really ambitious and we thought we were going to make tons and tons of money. And so one of our head of sales, basically he had a bonus where he could make $100,000 extra if sales went well. And I had asked him what he thought his actual bonus was going to be, and he said, $100,000 for sure. Like he was certain that he was going to reach that milestone, and I had estimated that he would get to like $18,000 or something. And the company shut down like 2 weeks after that conversation. So it didn't quite work out. But that helps me just calibrate with, hey, there's been times where I was able to navigate through this with typically hard work. Like that's the thing is get away from luck as the dominant factor in what drives success and think about hard work. But yeah, imposter syndrome, that's
nice.
That's scary when it takes hold.
I got to show this off. For those on the video feed, I've got a sticker on my mug that says Imposter Syndrome, which is also I'm Pasta Syndrome, and it's a piece of pizza that's very sad at the world. He's got kind of like the angry fist looking thing. But this thing was inspired by a guy named Niat who loves pizza, and he's struggling with imposter syndrome, and he loves pizza, but if you also think about like pizza, it's really just pasta, just baked differently. So lots of carbs, lots of cheese, lots of sauce.
Informing the people with stickers. I like it.
That's what we do.
All right, we got a lot left to get to here, so let's try and wrap this bad boy up. Tyler's got to get to bed. He's got a big day tomorrow, I'm sure.
Chopping wood.
That's right.
All right, challenge update. I've been sticking with it, boys. It's been good. I've been so Tyler, in case you haven't been caught up on the latest, Matt is coaching me to a 5K.
That's great.
So
that's incredible.
I am really out of shape still, but
have you ever done a 5K in your life before, or like when was the last time you did one? If you have,
so I did a tiny triathlon. I don't know what you call it, miniature triathlon, where a 5K was at the end.
Okay, yeah.
And all my legs were cramped up. It was crazy. I didn't drown though, so that was the
when
big
was
thing.
This that you did that?
This was in high school. This is
okay,
20 plus years ago.
Okay, great. So you have done it, but it's been a little while. Now you're getting back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
And I would say I didn't really train for the running part. I trained on the bike side and I trained on the swimming side because I didn't want to drown.
Right.
So I just kind of winged the bike.
What got you?
The running.
What got you to want to do this challenge?
The new challenge?
Yeah,
or
the new
like
challenge. Yeah, the Couch to 5K. Yeah. What?
I mean,
what is the
in the
impetus
end, it was at the beginning of this podcast. I mean, I need to get in shape. I'm way out of shape, and I wanted to get in shape, and I was like, I want to do a challenge, and I want to commit to something and do it.
That's great.
So it hasn't been all like roses. Like
Sure.
there've been ups and downs, but over the past 2 weeks, kind of my new routine with school starting, I'm waking up at 6:30 and running on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays. So
Awesome.
it's been good. This week I've been doing the Strava thing. I've learned that I'm best as a phone runner, a phone hand runner.
Yeah.
So I did that, but I hit some achievements that are worth sharing. I had my best 5K today at 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So, no, not 5K, 1K. I'm sorry. I'm not at 5K yet, but you can see the 1K there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
great.
gold medal. So I was pretty excited about that. The shin splints are still there, but they actually felt better today than they did a week, 2 weeks ago. So maybe they're getting better. We'll see.
Tyler, do you
But,
do you ever have shin splints? Do you have any recommendations for those?
Not explicitly from running. If I do a, I don't know if you categorize it as shin splint, but I do have extreme shin pain when I walk fast. So I do some weighted walking, but if it just the way that I pick my toes up as I'm walking, if I do that really rapidly, I will feel my shins the next day and the day after, typically. But I don't think it's, from what I've read about shin splints, it's not quite that painful. But it's a muscle that I don't usually use. So I don't think I have any real tips for shin splints, though.
We call it shin fire here, too.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what it feels like. But that's the update. I'm going to continue on. I have been thinking a little bit more about the race and what that would look like, but maybe we can talk about that next time and work on setting a date.
Nice. Well, just to join in on the regular updates, I started 75 hard today. So today's the day. I was reading about it. Andy Frisella has a great website for 75 hard. You start reading through it, and
what is 75
oh,
hard?
you don't know what it is? You don't know, or you were just asking for the listeners?
I don't know.
Okay, so 75 hard. Andy Frisella is a entrepreneur. I don't know, probably an influencer or something, but he created this program called 75 hard. So for 75 days, you commit to 5 different things. So 2 45-minute workouts a day. One of those has to be outside. Drink a gallon of water. Follow a strict diet. You get to pick kind of what diet, but as a baseline, there's like no alcohol. Other than that, it's like, you decide kind of what dimension you want. You could be a vegan or whatever you want to decide, but there's probably not fast food involved in your diet. Like, let's be honest.
No Chick-fil-A.
What are the other ones?
Take a picture of yourself and read
take
10
a
pages
progress
day.
picture every day, and then read 10 pages of a book. No audiobooks is the thing. So I came across this challenge in 2020, and I started it, and I failed on like day 33, when I forgot to do the reading, which is seemingly the easiest part, which that's kind of the premise of the challenge, is that it feels like a physical fitness challenge, but it's really more of a mental thing. So I started that today, and so I'll be providing updates on the podcast. Tyler was trying to force me into a bet about it, but Tyler, I decided the bet was basically if I lost, I had to come visit him immediately, or vice versa. He had to come visit me once I won. But I decided I want to come visit Tyler. I don't want to lose a bet and just be driving the car just all down on myself. So I'm coming to visit you regardless, Tyler. So
Last time that Matt lost a bet to me, he ended up singing a song about a Speedo. He sang a really catchy song. I think it was pre-ChatGPT too, if I recall. Yeah. And so it was just a lovely little ditty on YouTube. I'm sure we can have a link somewhere to that tribute video. So yeah.
Is this on your YouTube, Tyler?
It's on his YouTube. It's not on mine. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's on mine. Yeah. So I wrote it to the beat of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the theme song.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
It's worth exactly one watch. I'll tell you that.
Oh man, we got some listener feedback. This was on Ben Wright's video. It says PW Wright 312 IFY.
Iffy.
It says Ben Wright, comma, this is your mom. Triple digits! Exclamation mark. So Ben, he was on the show last time. We talked about his motorcycle, his recreational vehicle. And he was over 100. You know, he's multiple times he said. Yep. It's like, I'd rather not say the actual speed. But he talked about how easy it was.
It's super easy.
And how easy it is to come back down and not get caught.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out by this comment, is she excited? I see an exclamation.
No, there's almost certainly.
Or is it like a, what are you thinking, son?
It feels like more of a what are you thinking, you know. But maybe that's my mom. My mom would definitely be that.
I don't know. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think she was not pleased. I didn't actually pick up on triple digits. For some reason, I had just seen like one of the YouTube analytics, so I thought she was trying to get the view count up to triple digits. It just totally spaced on the fact that he had told that great story about the motorcycle. Tyler, you've been a former motorcycle owner. Do you got any confessions you want to make that your mom might be disappointed in?
Surely she already has heard this, but I've touched 160 on my motorcycle when I was in it, and I probably averaged over 100. With our coworkers, when Pete and AJ, I met them downtown Denver, and then I had to drive from downtown Denver back to my house, which is about an hour drive normally. And I probably averaged, probably 110 on that whole drive. It's I-25, and it was late at night. There's 5 lanes, and I just sent it. And I've never seen a cop in Colorado. Basically, I don't think I saw anybody get pulled over. So I just sent it, and that was great. I sold it pretty shortly thereafter, but it was fun while it lasted. So yeah.
Well, Ben, let us know if you've ever hit 160.
160. I'm gonna confidently say no, or else P Wright 312 if he's gonna be real disappointed.
Yeah, you gotta have a pretty big bike to be able to do that, and but yeah, it's amazing. You just touch it, and as soon as you let off, you're back down to 90. In a second or two, it feels like. It's just just drops right back down. So yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome. We also got an email from Mr. John Van Fleet. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he did say he loved Doc. He did give us a definition for his definition of FunHawg. He'd say interesting and or enjoyable moment in your week. So I think that's a great definition. And I think the final thing out of that, he let us know some other stuff. He's our dedicated responder. He's the one that lets us know that we matter, even though we don't. Thank you, John, for messaging us. But he gave us an award, #1 podcast of the year from the Wacky Fun magazine publication. So
awesome.
We're #1 in somebody's.
We're an award-winning podcast now. So
we got to update all of our swag and our website and.
I don't know if your
everything.
podcast earlier today was an award-winning podcast, Butch, but now you can say you've been on one.
Now I can say that. So thank you, John, for writing in. We always appreciate it. And, feel free to go check out the Wacky Fun magazine. This is a magazine that is put out by youth, the youth of America. So, Tyler, send that to your kids. They might like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might like it, too.
Tyler, we like to give guests a chance to give a shout-out to anybody. You got anybody who is deserving of a shout-out?
I have such a small sphere of influence at the moment. The only person I can imagine, my mom's birthday was yesterday. I feel like I've got to get a shout out to my mom, Kelly, the kleptomaniac, but loving kleptomaniac. I think I'll give her a shout out in case she listens to this. So she turned 63, in case anyone wanted to know.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Tyler's
birthday,
mom.
Kelly.
Yeah. We're sorry your son divulged your age.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, we got to spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
So I've got 2 open slots. I took off pickle, but I've got a new word up here. Do you see it? It's right here.
Having fun?
Hog fun?
Nope.
Hog fun.
Hog fun. So I got to just give a brief shout out. Mr. Jonathan Leftwich has been on me about, he said, I'm going to make my own podcast called Hog Fun, and we're going to talk about meats. So I was like, well, I'm going to add it to the spin wheel so we know when to invite him and some of the other meat mentors out there just to talk about, it'll be about smoking meats. So that's what that is. And I've got an empty spot here that Tyler, what do we need to fill in here?
Ooh.
What was that?
I didn't say anything yet. There's so many good words. This is just. Is there any criteria for these words?
Just it doesn't need to be a curse word.
Oh yeah, that isn't. That's too small.
It needs to fit in this. In this slot here with my bad handwriting.
Oh man, I feel like I'm reading a book right now with my family called Ben-Hur, and it has so many words in it that I've never heard of in my life. Like I was constantly looking at the dictionary to figure them out, and I'm drawing a blank on all of them right now. But is the word epic on there? I like the word epic.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Epic.
I'm a big epic fan, but there's got to be something from Ben-Hur too that's just it's good.
Well, we got epic. Epic is here. All right, you want to pick a word out, Matt? You always pick a word.
I'm going for... Was gargantuan on there?
It is. It's somewhere on
Razzle
here.
Dazzle.
I'm
Surely that came from NBA Jam, right? Razzle Dazzle. I used to
Probably.
play that as a kid.
Razzle dazzle.
Butch comes up with the words, so who
Okay.
knows?
I don't come up with all of them. We have
Guess
a shared
sometimes you-
notepad.
We have a shared notepad, and Butch deletes the words that I don't know. Gargantuan is what I'm going for.
All right, I think it's on here. All right, here we go.
Action figure.
Oh, we got the mystery word.
The mystery word. I don't even know what this means.
The mystery word. All right, I'll tell you what the mystery word is. I got to go look up my my key over here, but I also know the guest who's coming on, so it's going to be exciting. Guest, you know who you are. I hope you're getting excited. Let me go. See, look, there's my word list. It's right here. It's shared. All right, the word is going to be. Where's it going to be? I'm going
Optimism.
to write this down.
Riot. I actually had written down Optimism Riot as a phrase that I thought was interesting. I don't know why I came up with it, but I wrote down
Optimism Riot. I'll add that to our list.
This is like a good band name.
Yeah.
It does. All right. The word is going to be sink.
Like synchronize?
Like sink, like S-I-N-K.
Oh, okay.
Sink.
Like kitchen
Sink.
sink.
Yeah. Kitchen sink. You're
Or
sinking in the
sinkhole.
water.
Ooh, if y'all talk about sinkholes,
Sinkholes.
I've been in a giant sinkhole in, I don't remember what state it was in, but Alabama, maybe.
Was it your house that was in the sinkhole?
No,
or-
it was like it was called like the never-ending sinkhole, but it had an ending. But I rappelled down in it, and it was great.
It had an ending. You were disappointed.
Yeah,
You found the end of the never-ending sinkhole.
that's right.
All right, let's send it
Awesome.
out.
Thanks for spending some time with us. I'm
Absolutely, I
Butch.
appreciate it. Oh, sorry.
He's
Say
trying.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Matt. Go forth and hog,
Hog
some fun.
fun.
My kids told me that's super cringy when we do that. It was what they told me.
We're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna own it. Own the cringe.
Own the cringe.
So, welcome to the FunHawg podcast, where it's just me and Tyler.
Matt is late. That is not acceptable.
He didn't even let us know. I mean, he told us once that as soon as you know you're late, you're supposed to let people know.
Or like 20 minutes ahead of time, you let them know, like, I'm going to be late. That would be appropriate. Not at 9:02 say, hey, I'm going to be late.
We still don't have a message.
Oh, I know.
This will be great. What's up, Matt?
What's up,
We started
fellas?
without you.
Oh, great. Glad to be here.